Frank Thayer es un académico, un periodista e investigador de la Universidad Estatal de Nuevo México, quien no solamente certificó cada paso que se presenta en la investigación de Scott Ramsey, sino que nos explica aquí el papel tan importante de Frank Scully, un periodista que en 1950 publicó esta historia en un libro llamado Behind the Flying Saucers. Una historia extraordinaria que seguramente algún día será parte de una película. El caso de Aztec llegó a la opinión pública gracias a Frank Scully, un periodista investigador que publicó el libro Behind the Flying Saucers en septiembre de 1950. Un éxito instantáneo que vendió más de 50,000 copias en unas cuantas semanas. El público estaba fascinado. Sin embargo, se desarrollaría una campaña de desprestigio en contra de dos de los actores más importantes de la historia, Silas Newton y Leo Gebauer, a quienes se acusaría legalmente por fraudes cometidos. Fraudes que nunca serían probados, pero la opinión pública perdió el interés en el caso, como había sucedido antes con el caso de Roswell. Hoy sabemos que ambos casos son auténticos. Frank Thayer, académico de periodismo de la Universidad Estatal de Nuevo México, lo confirma.
Frank Scully was a journalist. He was an entertainment journalist, and he wrote in a very breezy, entertaining style. But underneath, I began to see that everything in his book that seemed so bizarre had a factual base. And the more I learned about him, the more I felt that we had something. He had almost like a puzzle in his book, and you began to, and I can turn to any page in his book and find something that looked strange when we first looked at it. Turned out he was telling the absolute truth, and he knew. He had talked to these scientists. Silas Newton had introduced him to scientists who had probably pieces of the craft, I don't know. And that Scully, and he, to his dying day, Scully said that this was true. He never backed down from it. And now Scott Ramsey has proved him to be a prophet. Theoretically, you know, in 1950, this book, Scully's book, sold 50,000 copies. That should have ended the secrecy about flying saucers, but it was just beginning. Somebody, we don't know who, some government agency began to do a hatchet job on Frank Scully and his sources until he was branded a hoaxer or a dupe. Either he had hoaxed the story or he had been conned by Silas Newton and his friend Leo Gebauer. And they said there were no such thing as these 9 scientists. And now you read chapter 4 of Scott Ramsey's book, and you can see all the scientists. They all worked under Vannevar Bush in the War Department. They all were working on magnetic anomalies, and they all knew Silas Newton, or most of them did, and they talked to Frank Scully, and they believed the story should come out. They believed the people should get the story. And then they realized that the secrecy oaths they had taken were very serious and the penalties very severe for revealing it. So as Scully said, in 1949 they would tell their stories for free. By 1950 they wouldn't tell their stories for $20 million. Scully was telling the truth.
Scully decía la verdad, una verdad que vuelve a ser conocida más de 60 años después. La campaña emprendida por el gobierno de los Estados Unidos demostró su efectividad. El caso sería literalmente olvidado.
We want to confirm that this incident really happened, that 100-foot disc landed on Hart Canyon Mesa, and that the military opened it up and took away these bodies. We can prove this happened. We have the witnesses in a courtroom case. If you have 2 witnesses who do not know each other and they tell the same story, the jury is going to have to say they are telling the truth. And I will say, certainly Scott Ramsey wants to tell the truth. I've never seen him want to change anything or make it better or fill in something with a fictional addition. Everything in the book is documented fact as best he can do it.